Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome to the story of Jblethal TV. Um, Today I'm going to be doing my first documentary of three because, this is going to be my first, this background is going to be the last time you see this on my documentary. But I just want to tell you guys, my story, man. It's just, I feel like I have so much to say, but, I never really get a chance to express everything how I feel or tell you guys about my full life because I'm just so used to doing reaction videos and listening to music. But this is the channel where it's just so personal to me. So, um, first off, I want to start by saying my name is James Bowen the fourth. Yes, I am the fourth. I was born February 7th, 1995. That's February 7th. So anybody want to send me some gifts on February the 7th? I'm all for it. I was born in Palm Springs, California, but wasn't raised there. I was really raised around California, like everywhere in California you could think of. I was probably living there. When I was 3 years old, I moved to Oklahoma. I don't know how I remember that, but I remember it. Yeah, I was 3 years old when we moved to Oklahoma. And, I remember I used to have so much fun there. I used to go to this daycare. I don't know how I remember, but we used to go on field trips. And I remember we went to a fireman's house. I don't know what they call it, but we slid down the pole and everything. We got to ride in the fire trucks. And that was like my first real fun memory I had as a kid when I was 3 years old. Like I said, I don't know how I remember, but I remember a lot from a kid. I used to have fun there. We used to go to the river, me and my three sisters and my mom and her husband. And we used to feed the ducks. And that was so fun, man. That was just such a happy place for me, man, as a kid, just feeding the ducks, go home, watch wrestling, play with my toys. But then I remember, at the same time, we had to move because there was a big tornado. I didn't know what a tornado was at the time because I was a kid. I just remember everyone in the neighborhood going crazy. I remember it was daytime and then out of nowhere, it was just dark. And I was just like, what just happened? And the wind started blowing so hard that our house started shaking back and forth really fast. And I started to get scared. Like, I'm a kid. I'm scared. I don't know what's going on. The house is shaking. The ground is shaking. I see trees wiggling. And I'm just like, and we got, I remember my uncle putting us inside of a shelter. Like, it was outside and like the ground had it was a shed. We got put into a shed or something. We went to the bottom and, I remember when we came back out and looked because it was over, I guess. And it was like 4 houses left out of like 45 houses in that neighborhood street. It was like 4 houses left. But ours stood there, and I don't know how, or we got lucky because there was so much, destruction from that tornado. And I remember we moved the next day. We just took our stuff, put everything, left every couches, everything in the house, took our clothes or whatever. And I remember us moving back to California. Again, everything was good. We started going to church. And then around the age of 6, I think I was about 6 or 7, my uncle, I have 5 uncles. One of my uncles was coming to pick me up because he was taking all the boys to go play basketball. As we're getting ready to like leave, I'm getting ready to leave. I just remember like a car pull up, and it was two guys. I didn't know if they was friends or not, family friends or what, but I remember my uncle screamed and told us to run in the house, go in the house. And as we were, running to the house, it was just a loud boom, 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 like a whole bunch of gunshots. About, I don't know, about 11 shots, 10 shots. It seemed like it was going on forever. And I remember I was 7 years old. I looked back and I just seen my uncle laying there, and blood coming out of his body, and I didn't know how to feel. I started crying, and then I stopped crying, and I started spinning, like something in my head, like just spinning, like I'm just spinning, but I wasn't moving. And I remember just dropping down to the ground and crying so hard. It's just something like I never truly got over. Till this day, it still gives me problems because I don't know, man. I just miss my uncle, and I miss his presence, and always feeling protected. He was our superhero. Every person in our family, our superhero. It was weird, man. It was just a weird experience. I remember moving away from that place, and I had to go back to school. Any school that I went to, you guys, I can tell you, I was not interested in. Even as a kid, I tried to keep it in. I tried to keep a lot in. I kept a lot in for like too long, to the point like it started hitting me as an adult. Like I held in so much pain for 15, 16 years. And I remember one day, I was when I was 21, I just had a meltdown. I was at my own apartment. I had a meltdown. There was no one around me. It was just me in my apartment. And I had a complete meltdown. And I was trying to figure out why I had this meltdown. And the only thing I could think of is all the hurt that I've been holding in. I didn't cry for about 15, 16 years. There was no tears coming out of this body. I just couldn't cry. And I just felt so numb for years. And it's just, I don't know, that's just a hard thing to get over. I remember also being young and moving around so much, moving to so many different schools. Like we literally moved like we were a military family. We literally moved like a military family. I don't understand why we moved schools so much, so many different states, countries, not countries. It seemed like it, but it was always hard to, get to know people. It was hard to get to know people because, I remember the first time, my 6th grade year, I was just going to 6th grade, and we moved from California to Vegas. And I was like, man, this should be fun. I'm moving out of California. Thank God. I was so happy. Moved to Vegas, and my 6th grade year, I remember I met a lot of new people. I had so much fun my 6th grade year. It was like I started to just forget about everything. Like, you know what, the heck with the pain. I'm about to just have fun. I'm in 6th grade. I'm getting old. I felt like I was old at that time in the 6th grade. I remember, man, I'm thinking I'm gonna stay at the school, for the next year, but we end up moving to another school my 7th grade year. And at that point, like when I was in the 7th grade, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I had to get forced to talk to people. It took me 3 weeks. It took me 3 weeks, almost a month, to start really talking to people. It was some people, guys, girls, that used to always say, "Can you just say one word? Can you talk to us?" They just forced me to talk, so I'm like, forget it. So I just opened myself up and started having fun. 8th grade year, moved to another school, and that was by far, the best year I have ever had in school. Period. Um, I remember I was so comfortable. Um, I got on the AB honor roll my 8th grade year. Like, I was just so good at school, so good at homework. You know, I was just a animal when it come to schoolwork. And even though I was still I was hanging out with the bad crowd still. But, I still knew that, I needed to get good grades. Um, so my 8th grade year, that school was like a school from kindergarten to the 12th grade. So I wanted to stay in that school forever till my senior year. But I ended up moving to a different school my 9th grade year. But it was all good because, I had friends from my 8th grade year that came to my 9th grade year with me. So it was a fun experience. But then we ended up moving my 9th grade year back to California. Out of all the places that I hated, I did not want to move back to California. Like, I had to keep myself together, man. I didn't even want to show that I was just angry, man. I did not want to move back. It was just so many bad memories in California. Like, I don't want to go back. My 9th grade year, in the middle of my 9th grade year, I'm at a new school, so I just started ditching. Like, I didn't even care. I just started ditching like an animal. I was ditching every single class. I didn't get to know nobody. I didn't know no names. They didn't know me. They just thought I was the meanest guy ever because I just had that face like, don't look at me, don't say anything to me. After that, we moved to Palm Springs, back to where I was born. And something in my gut told me, man, this is not going to be a good year for me. And I always carried that. I'm like, man, this is not about to be a good year for me. And that gut feeling was right because my 10th grade year, it was some guys or, a gang that hated my family. So they took it out on us, It was a whole gang targeted me instantly. Don't know how they knew who I was, but they targeted me so fast. It got so bad to the point where I'm walking to class. I'm like, it's a fly. I'm like, I don't know why I'm being called to the office. I'm going to school. I'm doing all my schoolwork. This is the year, like, I'm trying to get into school. And I'm trying to go to different classes, not ditch, none of that. So I'm like, why am I being called to the office? And it was a cop that pulled me to the side and told me to come into the office. And as I get in there, I see my mom in there. And I'm like, wait, what did I do? Like, did I get in trouble? Did I do something? And he told me this exact word. You have to, leave this school because you have a green light out on your head. And for those who don't know what green light means, it means that a certain gang wants to kill you. They're going to kill you. So I'm just like, man, this is not it. So I went to an alternative school, and it was like juvenile. It was like literally all the bad students. And when they sent me there, it was worse than the school that they put me out of. I was surrounded by more enemies, more people who hated me. And it was different gangs that I didn't even know. And I remember it was the principal. He did not like my uncle, the one I told you got murdered. He did not like my uncle at all. So he didn't like me instantly. The first thing he told me was, don't you come starting no trouble at my school. And I'm just like, what? Like, I'm not here for that. That was the first thing he told me. And I remember, man, my first day there, I got surrounded. Like, literally, I'm trying to walk to class. The classes were outside, of course. You had to go outside to get to your next classroom. And I remember when I walked out the door, they were waiting for me. And as soon as I walked out, like 10 or 11 of these guys from this gang surrounded me. They literally surrounded me. And I looked, man, and I'm just looking around like, man, I'm not scared. Because I really wasn't scared. I'm like, whatever happens, happens. And this is where the story gets crazy. As I was looking around, I see the principal looking out. He was looking out, watching them surround me. And I'm just looking at him, and he looked back at me and then turned his head. And I'm like, man, he in on this, man. He in on this. That's the only thing that was running through my mind. He sent these dudes after me. I was just so paranoid, but he literally sat there and watched them surround me. What stopped it was, this other gang, like the young dude. I didn't know who he was, but he told them like, "Hey, y'all better get away from him. This is my little friend, it's my homie," which means friend. And they all left, and I just felt like, man, this dude, I owe this dude my life. He literally saved me, man, out of a situation like I didn't think I was about to make it out of. It was like God sent this dude, like, just in time. And to this day, I still hit him up, like, man, I'm just grateful, dude, that you was right there. Like, you came out of nowhere, and I did not know you. Like, you didn't have to step in. But, he always, tells me, man, I don't know, it's just something sent me to you, man. Like, I didn't want to see you get hurt. And, man, that just touched me, man. I'm like, man, it really is good people on this earth, man, no matter what they look like. No matter if they got tattoos on their face, on their arms. You do not judge anybody, because you just never know. After that, my 10th grade year was over. My 11th grade year, moved to a different city. Moved to a different school. My 11th grade year, I had fun. I had a lot of fun. That school year ended. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of girlfriends. I'll be honest. I had a lot of girls. After that year, those same people that I got to know and had fun with, they all turned around and turned on me. I was jumped. Me and my sisters were jumped by about 30 people, literally. We were jumped by these same people. Jealousy is real. And after that happened, my mom did not want me there, or my sisters, so she sent us to Indianapolis, Indiana. I went there for my senior year. I did not graduate here in Indianapolis my senior year. I stayed for about 3 months. And let me tell you guys, before I went to Indianapolis, I weighed 110 pounds. 110 pounds before I came to Indianapolis. When I left after those 3 months, I was 260 pounds. I was depressed. I did not want to eat. I mean, I did want to eat. That's all I wanted to do was eat. I was just depressed, so all I did was eat. That's the only thing I can do. So after those 3 months, I went back to California. I had just turned 18, and I got a call from one of my aunties. She laid one on me, man. She told me, if you don't graduate, you're gonna be a couch potato. You're gonna sit on the couch, have nothing, different things like that. And that just woke me right up. And as soon as she said that to me, because I wasn't gonna graduate, I wasn't gonna even get my diploma. I was like, I don't even want to. I don't care. And she said that to me, and I'm just like, wow. That was harsh, but it was needed. and I went to adult high school, and I ended up graduating and getting my diploma. And right after that, went straight to college. And I just felt like, man, this is what life is about right here. Just sitting in college, watching all the college students, and I'm just like, man, I'm in college. I'm actually in college, but my college years didn't last that long. I didn't even go for a full year. I just got my financial aid, and used that money and bought a ticket. I bought a ticket right back to Indianapolis. I don't know what made me buy a ticket back to Indianapolis. Um, so as I went to Indianapolis, I was 19 at that point, and something crazy happened, you guys. Um, when I went out there, a family friend picked me up from the airport. I had no idea who was picking me up from the airport, and that family friend was in church, saved. He believed in Jesus Christ and everything. And that was just something that I didn't believe in. Like, I'm like, man, this is not real. And I remember as he was, offering me a job in a car to work at this church that's a school. It was a church and a school. And I'm like, doing what? And he was like, being a janitor. And I'm like, I'm not about to be no janitor. That's the first thing that popped in my head. And he was like, I know, being a janitor, I know that's not the best thing, but it's a start for you. It's your first job. You need to do it. Like, I promise you, everything's going to work out. Like, if you just stay close to me. And, I'm like, man, all right. At that point, like, I might as well, I don't have no money. I'm 19 years old. I don't have nothing. I came to Indianapolis with 4 outfits. Literally 4 outfits. And I remember, man, my first day at that church, I seen people praising God hard, people, speaking in tongues and different things like that. And I just remember being scared, like this, I don't know what's going on. I told him, like, I'm just sitting in the entryway, like, I'm not going in there. I don't know what they're in there doing. This is something that I'm not used to seeing. So he said, all right, man. He said, you don't have to come in, but that's your choice. And he said, I'm not going to force you to come in. And when he said that, I don't know why, I just started feeling calm after that. So I went in and I sat down and I started to hear the preacher preach. And I'm like, man, I'm feeling what he's saying. Like, it was like he was speaking right to me. And still after that, I still didn't believe. I still didn't believe that I could be saved. I didn't believe in none of that. But then I remember, man, it was this church camp. And they wanted me to go there to help clean up and set up for the church camp. It cost, $40 to get into the camp. And I didn't have the $40 at the time. But they wanted me to go up there and help set up and everything. So, and I did want to go, but I didn't have the money. But, after I helped set up and clean, I remember getting a call that said, you're invited to the church camp. And I'm like, I don't have the money. They was like, brother, you don't need to have money. Just pack up your clothes and just get ready and come. So I'm like, all right. And I remember I got scared when my cousin, she came to pick me up with her and her friends. They came to pick me up to take me to the camp, and I just got scared out of nowhere. I started telling my cousin, like, can you just give my suitcase? I don't think I want to go no more. Because it was there. You had to be there for 4 days. And I'm like, I just realized what I signed myself up for. 4 days of something that I'm not used to. I'm like, I got to go. I don't want to go at all. She was like, that's just the devil. That's the devil, James, trying to get you to, get you not want to come. So I get in the car and I'm like, fine, man. So we get there and it's like 300 people there. And I'm just like, what? all people, young people trying to get the Holy Ghost, young people trying to get saved, and I'm just like, what is all of this? I remember I was so stubborn. I was so stubborn. I was like, man, I'm not doing none of this stuff. These activities is just not me. It's not what I'm used to. And I remember telling this elderly lady at the camp, like, I don't think I'm gonna ever get saved. I don't think I'm gonna ever get right with God, because I don't know. I just don't fully. I'm not fully believing. And she said she understands, you know. So she walked me to a church service. We went, and I remember, man, after the service was over, and no, not even when the service was over, in the middle of the service, they someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Come back here." And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. I get back there, and it's a whole bunch of kids my age and little babies, about 10 years old in there. And I'm like, what? And I hear them in there just worshiping with their hands up and speaking in tongues. And I'm like, wait a minute, did a little kid just get the Holy Ghost? I didn't think that was possible. I remember, like, it was like 7 different people in my ear talking to me like, you have to let go of, you know, whatever you're feeling, all this pain, resentment, whatever you feel, you need to let it go. And I was like, how do they even know that I'm going through pain? They were telling me that, and, you know, I just said, forget it. I just put my guard down. It started, you know, Jesus, like, Lord, I need you. I need you. And I remember I had this overwhelming feeling run through my body. And I was just like, what is this? And next thing you know, I'm speaking in tongues. And that was just the craziest feeling, because I didn't believe it at all. I didn't believe the tongues was real, speaking in tongues, all of that. I didn't know, like, man, this ain't real. And it happened to me, and I'm like, what? And they start telling me, man. And let me tell you guys, for the people, non-believers, it's okay. Believe whatever you want. I was one of those people, like, I made fun of people who went to church. I was literally the one who made fun of people who went to church. Like, all the time, like, get out of here, man. Nobody believe in that. I was like, man, I have any family member, friends that can vouch for me. And I will bring them on this documentary. But they can literally vouch for me. Like, I laughed at people like that. I made fun of people like that. I was one of the biggest, like, jokesters. Like, I used to always see this guy at my school when I was in the 11th grade. He used to always wear this sign, and it said, you know, if you guys want prayer, we can pray. And I used to tease him, like, man, get out of here with that, man. Nobody believe in that. And he was just telling me, like, one day you will, man. One day you will. And, you know, after that happened to me, you know, 2 years later when that happened to me, I was like, man, that dude at school was right. He told me one day. And it actually happened to me. And, you know, I've been trying to look for him ever since, like, to tell him, like, you were right. And I apologize. I'm sorry. I always want to tell him that, but, like, I can't. I don't even know his name. Don't remember who he was, but he was my age at the time. We were in high school, and he was right. And, you know, I was going to church. My life was just going up. My finances was just going up. And then a female came into my life, and everything, boom, exploded. Everything exploded. It got real after that, man. It got real after that. She came into my life. I'm thinking she's godly. And, you know, she was far from it. She was far from it. You know, she asked me for my number and asked, like, if I need to talk to anybody, you know, you just got the Holy Ghost. You just got right with God. You know, I got you. And I'm like, all right. I wasn't looking at her any kind of way. I didn't see her like, man, I want to date this girl. I want this girl. It was never like that. I didn't even believe in love with people at that time. Um, but as we started talking every day, she made me comfortable. She became a best friend. Somebody, a support system, someone who I can talk to. And she was a different person. Once we started to tell each other we love each other. She turned it to somebody else. But I will be explaining that on part 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed part 1. This is a to be continued. So I will get to that story of her on part 2. Love you guys.